Okay, I had a request for 7C, which is find the zeros of the given function. So I wrote it over here so I have more room. Um, our function is an x to the fourth as the highest power, so we're going to have to do 2 rounds of the C's over D's synthetic division process. So my C factor is 18 because that's my constant. So that would be factors of 18 are plus or minus 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. My D factor is my leading coefficient, which would be plus or minus 1 and 3. We make a list of all C's over D's, so we get plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 9, plus or minus 18. All of those come from putting each of these over 1. Then we start putting them over 3, so plus or minus 1/3, plus or minus 2/3. 3 over 3 is 1, which we've already got. 6 over 3 is 2, which we already have. 9 over 3 is 3, which we already have, and 18 over 3 is 6. So the rest of those are just repeats, so that means we have a full list. Remember, you start off by trying +1 and -1 first using synthetic division. Make sure you're not missing any powers. We're not. We have x to the fourth all the way to no x. So we would have 3, 5, 25, 45, and -18. This would be bring down the 3, multiply that's 3, add that's 8, multiply that's 8, add that's going to be 33, multiply that's 33. This is going to get way too big. That's 78, multiply that's 78, so this is 60, not 0. -1, bring down the 3. This would be -3, add, that would be 2, multiply, that's -2, add, that's 23, multiply, that's -23. That's going to be, oh sorry, I didn't need to borrow there. That's 2 and 2, so that would be -22, so that's going to be -40, which is also not 0. Okay, so we're going to try 2 and -2 next. So trying, and actually I'm going to try -2 first because the -1 got us closer to 0 than +1 did. It's just a little trick I like to try when I'm trying to eliminate things quicker. So bring down the 3, this would be -6, that would be -1, multiply, that's +2, so that's going to be 27, multiply, that would be -54, so that's going to be -9, multiply, that's +18, so that is 0. So we definitely know that -2 is a solution to this. So remember, that would give me a factor of x plus 2. This then would be 1 degree smaller than what we started with. So this would be 3x to the third minus x squared plus 27x minus 9. And then remember, this whole thing is set equal to 0 because we're trying to solve for all the factors. Typically, we would need to do synthetic division again, and I'm going to show you that, but this actually could be factored at this point, which would make things a lot easier if you catch that. You could factor this by grouping. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the synthetic division route just so you see that it still works. But this time my C is 9 and my D is 3. So I would have C is plus or minus 1, 3, and 9, and D would be plus or minus 1 and 3. So notice this reduces down my list to plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 9, plus or minus 1/3, and then 3 over 3 is 1, and 9 over 3 is 3, so we already have those. We already know plus and minus 1 don't work because they didn't work in the original problem, so we would be starting with +3 or -3. So let's start out with 3. So this would be 3, -1, 27, and -9. Remember, you use this new polynomial as your coefficients. Bring down the 3, multiply, that's 9, add, that would be 8, multiply, that's 24, add, that's going to be 51, and multiply, that's going to be way too big, so not 0. Let's try -3. Bring down the 3, multiply, that's -9, so that makes that -10. Multiply, that's 30. That's going to be 57. Multiply, that's also not going to get 0. Okay, so we can try 1/3 or -1/3. I'm more likely to do that because these are getting so big that 9 and -9 are probably going to get really big. So I'm going to try 1/3. So bring down the 3. This would be 1. That gives you 0. Multiply that. That would be 0. Add that. That would be 27. Multiply, that would be 9. There is our next one. So 1/3 is also a solution. And then so what we have is x plus 2, x minus 1/3 from this new one, because remember you always have to think what would it be before they solved it. And now I have 3x squared, no x term, and then plus 27. Now once you get down to a quadratic, you can solve this piece without doing the synthetic division. So we know that x equals -2 because of the first factor. X also equals 1/3 because of the second factor and the second round of synthetic division. And then 3x squared plus 27 equals 0 would be 3x squared equals -27. Divide by 3, that's -9. If you take the square root, you get plus or minus -9 under a square root, so that would be plus or minus 3i. So 4 solutions total, -2, 1/3, and 3i, and -3i. And that's it.